Burling's Beard stream. You're with me, Ken Breeze, Burling's Beard. And we're playing some D&D 5th edition tonight. Thanks for tuning in with us. If you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, we are playing Secrets of Hammerfast, and this is our 12th episode. It is the final episode of Chapter 2, in fact. So, hey, we made it, you guys.
Here we
We
are.
made it.
Did it.
We made it. Awesome.
We've
Awesome.
almost made it.
Almost. You're right. Don't get too comfortable yet. Thomas is correct though. You're watching Secrets of Hammerfast, 5th edition D&D stream, and we are right at the precipice of the end of our adventure for this chapter. So let's turn it over to our players and find out who our characters are. We have Kelsey playing Callie. Welcome back, Kelsey. What can you tell us about Callie?
Hey, Callie is a halfling rogue. She was a street urchin and kind of dresses the part. She's got like tattered leathers. She's got a nasty dagger, but her favorite weapon is a deck of cards. She throws playing cards like shuriken and deadly on the draw. And she also is accompanied by a teacup pig named Rimpleton, and he's much more noble bearing than she is. He's in fact, he deserves a crown, and we will find him one.
We will find him a crown. It will happen. We also have Pat playing Snorri. Welcome back, Pat. What
Thanks
can
for
you tell us
having
about?
me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Snorri is a wizard dwarf. He is also a ghost. He's very interested in what it means to be a ghost. Terrified of dying again, but kind of really into this corporeal form of darkness. Or ethereal? I don't know. One of those words.
Ethereal, corporeal. I mean, corporeal is right. He goes into the ethereal plane, and he is an arcanist, right? He's a magician, a wizard.
Yes.
And what kind of magic does he specialize in?
So Snorri, as he was like growing into being a wizard, was studying divination.
That's right. And Callie casts magic too, right?
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Tricky magic.
Tricky. Awesome. I love it. And not only that, but Snorri got a weird vial somewhere in our current dungeon, which we'll probably touch upon a little later. But he stores that in a tome that he carries around, if I'm not mistaken. Cool. Our last player is Thomas playing Elio. Welcome back, Thomas. Great to have you here again, back on the stream.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. And what can you tell us about Elio?
Elio is a fire genasi cleric who has joined the party just recently after falling/swimming through a portal to the Fey Realms. He is a boisterous fellow, and he seems to be very interested in spreading the word of his peculiar religion focused around the purifying heat and light of the sun. He's generally a good sort of fellow, but there are certain things he's more helpful at than others. He's always on fire, so stealth is not one of the helpful ones.
As we found out last time. Indeed, last time our heroes had traveled beneath the Glimmer Lake. The Glimmer Lake is in the near of Hammerfast, a large dwarven city. But underneath the Glimmer Lake is an ancient elven castle called Id Othramel, or Sparkly Town Delight Castle, for those of you who only speak the common tongue. For the heroes, it's been an adventure that they've been on to seek out the head of the Sages Guild from Hammerfast, a man named Glitterdark. They found out that Glitterdark is captured by none other than the tyrant of the Trout folk, the queen of the Trout folk, who rules in Id Othramel currently, underneath the lake. Our party has been sneaking into the castle. They've dove underneath this lake, you can see, and have been trying to find their way around the castle as best as they can. Staying out of trouble, but getting into trouble, finding allies, losing allies, finding enemies, losing enemies. and in short, have making a nuisance of themselves. But you don't have to take my word for it. Just go watch the last 5 episodes. They're all really good. Chapter 2, really, really good. Check them out. But that being said, right now our heroes had found their way to a tower in the castle, a tower that is ruled by the Trout folks' archpriest, a creature calling themselves Ziganute. And you had gone there to ostensibly find gear for an ally of yours, but had ended up realizing that Ziganute wished to make allies with you, or wished to make a bargain with you, wished to become allies with you against the Trout Queen, believing the Trout Queen was unfit to rule their people. During all of this, of course, yes, revealed amongst you was a traitor as Yarrow Blackhammer, whose armor you were looking for. He revealed himself to be a priest, a death priest of Orcus, and revealed as an ally of an old enemy of yours, Shalbanon, the Arcanist. And you all are now facing off in the temple area, the altar area of the Trout folk. There are a number of Trout folk here watching you, the two sides that have sort of arrayed themselves, Callie and Snorri and Elio, and their comrade, of course, Alaron, who is not here, unfortunately, tonight, but definitely still in our tale, are facing off against Yarrow, Blackhammer, and Shalbanon. And there's just sort of this sort of stare off happening right now as their groups are sizing each other up. But it's obvious that Yarrow and Shalbanon mean the four of you harm, especially as Shalbanon points at Alaron, mutters a very thick sounding syllable, and Alaron's skin of bronze begins to turn a dull gray as he turns to stone. And we should all roll initiative.
Oh
How do you like that for a start? Very nice.
no! I got a 12.
A 12 for Callie.
I got an 18.
18 for Snoring. What'd you get again, Elio?
20
Nice.
on the die, and also total because
A crit! You rolled a crit. That's great. That's great, man.
yes, I have
Congrats.
wasted my one crit for the night.
I will go first.
Come on, everybody. Shout them out if you're on the chat. Give them some love and some luck. But for now, they're facing off against some really hardened death cultists. Though, as you guys are looking at them, while their costumes or rather their clothing do share some similarities in iconography, they are definitely different styles. Where Shalbanon's style is much more sort of elvish or fayish, if you will, a bit more ostentatious. And Elio, as you're looking at them, this figure, you're starting to recognize a little bit of their clothing. Whereas Yarrow is wearing definitely the gear of a dwarf of Hammerfast, a guard maybe, or a mercenary, or a well-to-do warrior. Definitely, though, is clutching his holy symbol, which has been revealed to be the skull of Orcus. Elio, you do have initiative. What would you like to do?
I'm assuming that we are now enemies because of the stone thing. Therefore, bow before the light of the sun. And he holds out his spear, and the tip of it glows extremely bright white, and the flames that are sort of coming up from his decorative pauldrons around him also begin to shine a really bright white. And I'm going to use my channel divinity power called the Radiance of the Dawn.
Nice.
And Any magical darkness within 30 feet is dispelled.
Okay.
Also, each hostile creature within 30 feet of me, which I assume is both of them. Do I need to move or?
Nope, you're definitely within range of
They
them.
must make Constitution saving throws. That's DC
Ooh.
13, like everyone else.
Ooh, very nice.
I will roll some dice for this.
The dwarf definitely makes it. Yarrow is like, "Arr, do you never shut up? This is my castle." You guys like that? You like
Wait.
That was good.
His castle.
That's
No,
what
it's my
That's
castle.
what he's saying to you. That's what he's saying to you. He makes the save, but Shalbanon, the masked arcanist, does not. What happens? To
All right.
Shalbanon?
Unfortunately, my damage roll was not terribly good. That is 12 radiant damage to Shelvanon and 6 to Yarrow.
Awesome, cool. Yarrow has been damaged a little bit in some of the fights you've had with the Trout folk before, and so he sort of hisses as he is seared. Is there anything else?
I'll kind of back up
Yeah.
a little bit, but then realizing that Alaron has been turned to stone, I kind of hold my spear defensively and realize that the other two aren't particularly going to be frontline fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely realize that Alaron has been the linchpin of your sort of front line as you guys have been sneaking your way through this castle and its environs, fighting off Trout folk and dealing with different odd calamities. But Snorri,
He'll be an even better tank now that he's made of stone.
yeah. You have initiative. Elio, yeah, you definitely see, as all of you, that Shalbanon is really moving themselves behind Yarrow to sort of place the dwarf in between you and him or them. It is your turn, Snorri. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna remove myself from material plane and move over to where Shabanan is.
Cool. So you go ethereal and then start floating over to where Shalbanon is. Awesome.
Yeah, and when I do that, I'd like to go behind Shalbanan, return to the material plane, and see if I can start peeking through the robes and see what he's got in there. Looking for any weapons, gonna try to disarm.
Cool. I think that you'll be able to go in and get over, but not be able to get out on the same turn, unfortunately. I don't.
Can I do my investigation from the ethereal plane?
Definitely. You should make an investigations check.
Got a 10.
Nice. Yeah, you definitely see that Shabanon has a curved dagger at their hip. It's like a kris, like a curvy dagger, and that is definitely at their hip. And so that's
Okay.
what you see. It is Yarrow's turn, and Yarrow calls out to you, Elio. The light of the sun will never shine here. And he swings his warhammer at you as he rushes.
Oh my!
Indeed, and he does hit you as he rolls an armor class of 20.
All right. A bright spark of light illuminates from me as his hammer swings down, and he has disadvantage.
He does, and he rolls higher on the second roll, unfortunately. And
This was counterproductive.
the brightness of your spear is shining, but as his warhammer eclipses it, and it truly does, the warhammer explodes in necrotic energy, and you are struck for 21 damage. As he just cleaves right into your sternum, and he goes, "The undead will rule this place again."
My sternum.
And as he obviously just tucks right into you. He's wearing ring mail that seems to have been made especially for him. The warhammer that he has is he's holding it two-handed. It's a versatile weapon. His shield is on his back. He's foregone his shield. He's simply going full offense with this warhammer. The warhammer itself seems to be of impeccable Hammerfast make and forge. Who knows? It looks like a beautiful weapon.
One might say the hammer was faster than expected.
Yeah, definitely. And it's your turn, Callie. What would you like to do?
This is bad. Well, I'm gonna peek around behind Alaron, who's now stone. He's used to me doing this, so that's fine. And um, I guess I'm gonna take out a playing card and I'm gonna point at Yarrow and be like, "I thought you were nice." Throw it at him.
Yeah,
You
it's
really
very
tricked me.
much what you took to be his gray, jovial eyes. And remember, he has wiry black beard with sort of white streaks going through it. His gray, jovial eyes that you took to be sort of kind and humorous, though maybe a little odd when you first met him, have turned into very focused and beady eyes as he is now in this combat. You're also seeing him now in his armor for the first time again, which is definitely sort of bulky and arrayed to look like the armor of a death priest or some sort of evil knight.
Well, I'm gonna throw the card at him. But I forgot to ask. Is he being threatened such that I have advantage because I accidentally rolled?
Elio is threatening him with his.
He is extremely in melee with me.
Yeah,
He's
Too much.
so threatened. Well, I
You don't have
got.
advantage unless you are hidden, which you should roll a stealth check to see if you're hidden
Let
for
me
your attack since you're
stealth.
hiding behind the statue.
Critted my stealth check.
Ah,
That's the first crit I've gotten in this.
you're definitely you totally get advantage on this attack.
Cool.
I take credit for that. Right.
Good.
Well, I got
Yeah,
I got a 23, I think. Yep.
That's definitely a success. How much damage do you do?
Let's roll it. That's 17.
Nice roll, yeah. That definitely bloodies him as he sort of is blown backwards. His shoulder just torn up by this sort of almost explosive sort of cutting card as Callie sort of charges it with energy.
Can I use my cunning action to taunt him and say he's not a real Hammerfast dwarf like Snorri is?
Definitely.
You're not real.
And he sort of looks up at you with anger and goes, "Yar!" It's at that point that Shabanon goes, "Sa, sa, sa." And Callie, I need you to make a saving throw for Rimpleton.
Rimpy! What?
Shabanon is very obviously magically doing something and making these incantations and these motions and is then looking right at Rimpleton.
What stat is his saving throw?
Rimpleton does have advantage on this roll,
Ooh.
and it is a wisdom saving throw.
Intriguing. I actually, for some reason, have his wisdom as 10. I don't.
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Average wisdom.
18.
18 on the die.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Cool. Well, that's really good because Rimpy, it's almost as if Shabanon is like trying to take control of him or dominate him somehow. But Rimpy's able to sort of whip it off. But what Shabanon does do near you, Snorri, is sort of say, they call me Shabanon the Summoner. And they sort of whip their hands around. And as they do that, there is a puff of sort of this purplish magic. And it is near you, Callie, as a creature appears directly adjacent to you. This creature is out of a nightmare. It is a small creature, your size, though. You are also small. However, its head is really bulbous, like huge bulbous. Its skin is purplish, like plum purplish, dark purplish black. And it's like covered in ooze, like it's just covered in it. It has beady yellow eyes and long ears, a big underjaw with lots of teeth coming out. And it also seems to have really big, knuckly fists. And it looks at you and goes, nah! Like that.
I do that back at it.
Cool. Very good. Awesome. It's your turn, Elio. What would you like to do? I think at this point you should make a history check, Elio, or an Arcana check. It's up to you.
I imagine those are both about the same, and that I know very little of either of those things. Yes, let us roll a d20. Is essentially what this is. That's a 10.
Cool. You are definitely realizing that this creature that's been summoned is a fey creature, and you're also realizing that Shalbanon is arrayed in the style of the Winter Court.
That's the bad one.
It,
From my
they have a poor reputation. Yes, that's true. They do.
seems well deserved. All right.
Yeah, maybe indeed.
Well, since
It is
I'm
your
in,
turn.
yeah, I am in melee. That somewhat limits my spell casting effectiveness at the moment. But I'm going to. I can cast. I can use Sacred Flame on Yarrow without.
Definitely, without
Right.
provoking. He's not. Yeah, you could definitely.
So I'm just going to kind of summon together a bright globe of flame in my hands. I'm going to kind of pull it in half. I'm going to eat one half of it, and that's my healing word.
Yep. Ah.
I sort of say, "Sun, come into me," and I kind of breathe / eat it. It's fire. So
Yeah, you're eating fire. Makes perfect sense.
and then actually, I'm going to eat both halves of it,
Yep.
and then fire will glow from my eyes, and that will be the sacred flame.
Boom.
So
He fails as he's like, and is sort of like necrotically charged. Warhammer is blasted backwards.
All
He's been
right,
hit
so
by
I'll
the
heal.
card, and now this flash of energy.
All right, I will heal 6, and he will take. Where is my d8? He will take 4 radiant damage if that.
Yeah,
matters.
he's bloodied. He's sort of his head is smoking at this point as he's stumbling backwards. It is your turn, Snorri. You're ethereal near Shalbanon.
Cool. I'm going to. While I'm in the ethereal plane, I imagine I'm still holding my tome, right?
You are. All of your gear effectively goes ethereal with you, all your material gear.
Okay.
When you come out of the ethereal plane, then your gear rematerializes.
Okay, so I'm going to drop out of the ethereal plane and attempt to steal the dagger away
Awesome.
from Shalbanon.
Are you trying to do so without being noticed?
I mean, yeah, but I think Snorri's just kind of going for it.
Okay, well, make a sleight of hand check. Let's see how you do.
19.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You totally secretly just like take the Chris off of Shalbanon's hip. They have no idea that you've done that. Yeah.
And I can make an attack.
Yes, you can make an
Cool.
attack.
I'm just going to take it and jab it right into his side.
You have advantage on this roll since you're effectively hidden and sort of sneaking up on this creature. No idea.
Well, thank God. That's cocked. The first one was a 1.
Ooh.
And that is a 17.
17 success. How much damage do you do with your dagger?
How much would a dagger be?
1d4 plus your dexterity or your strength.
A whole 1 point of damage.
1 point of damage. Awesome. Well, you definitely get their attention with that as they spin around towards you. It's at that point that the fey creature that's been summoned leaps at you, Callie, and they attempt to grapple you.
No.
Yes, they attempted and you should make a history check, Callie, or Arcana check. It's up to you.
Same actually. So
yeah, roll.
I got a 13.
That's pretty good. You know what this creature is, maybe. It dawns on you as it's leaping at you, and it's sort of terrible. You realize that this might be a creature of legend or of nightmares, really, that sort of hides out in out-of-the-way places, underneath beds and closets, and is just the type of creature that really just is there to be a pain in the ass, though can be deadly or drive people insane, it's also said. But this one is definitely leaping at you to try and grapple you. So you should make a athletics or acrobatics check. It's up to you.
I'm going to go with acrobatics plus 7. Let's see. Ooh, I got a 25.
Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that definitely beats their 18, and so they're like leaping at you, and you just sort of like leap out of the way. But they're definitely still threatening you and trying to grab onto you, and sort of making weird sort of faces, nah nah, and sort of trying to grab you. Yarrow's turn. Yarrow prays to his evil god and prays that he can heal. And he, you can see his wounds closing, like quite a lot, as a matter of fact. Did seem he was quite hurt, but at this point, he is no longer bloodied.
Is he still in melee with me, or did he?
He is still in melee with
Okay.
you. Yes, he did not disengage. He laid hands upon himself in front of you, but is still sort of warding you off, as it were. It is Callie's turn. Callie, what would you like to do?
Hmm. Well, despite this terrible creature in front of me, I'm pissed at Shalbanon for trying to enchant my pig.
Uh,
Gonna look at Shalbanon and say, I thought you were nice too, and I'm gonna throw a playing card at them.
all
Um,
right.
let's
They
see.
are being threatened by your friend, but you do not have advantage.
All right,
If you do strike a do that.
one roll. Let's see. Not good. Got 10.
10 is no good, indeed. As your card sort of is flung, and Shalbanon spins right at the last moment as they're being distracted by Snorri, basically. And it just sort of goes right by them. Anything else you want to do, Callie?
I think I'm gonna use my cunning action to try to circle around and keep this poor petrified Alaron between me and the like.
Definitely, you sort of disengage and move away from the creature as it's going, ah, and it's sort of like trying to follow you and chase. You guys are sort of playing this weird like game of hide and go seek around the statue. Shalbanon looks at you, Snorri, and sort of titters and says, my, aren't you far from home? You don't look like you should be out on your own, and you should make a charisma saving throw as you are being mocked viciously.
Well. I'll show you how spooky I am. That's cocked. That's on the floor. Okay.
Cocked on the floor.
Natural 20.
Whoa!
Oh.
Rolling them. Awesome. Yeah. He isn't able to really do anything about that. And he sort of goes as he's sort of looking at you. And it is your turn, Elio.
Mm-hmm. Those spells. All right. How close together is all this happening, roughly?
Sure.
We're all
So
in the group, right?
at this point, I would say that you're sort of not, if you will, you're fighting with Yarrow. It's just the two of you. It's sort of in the middle. You're probably about have 15 feet ahead of you is Snorri and Shalbanon, and 15 feet behind you are Callie and the statue and Brimpleton and this fey creature.
Okay. So I'm going to try something a little different here. I'm going to kind of twirl my spear around, and there's these sparks that kind of fly everywhere of fire and light. And it says the son of the Feywild is perhaps less mighty to the eyes of someone here, but it still has its own strange powers. And everyone, all the enemies had to make a dexterity saving throws. These fairy fire.
Ooh, very nice. What's the save again?
13 dexterity.
13 dexterity. Cool. Both Shalbanon and Yarrow are engulfed in what color is the fairy fire?
It's kind of a sort of sunset red orange.
Sunset red orange, yeah, like almost yellowish, yeah.
How about the creature succeed?
The creature did succeed,
Okay.
but
So yes,
Yarrow and Shalbanon failed, so they are outlined now in this fairy fire,
yes.
which gives everyone
And you have advantage against them for quite a while.
indeed.
Yes.
You being anybody on our team.
Well done.
Ha ha ha.
Also, we can't go invisible, which wizards can't hurt.
Nori, it is your turn. As you've been watching Shalbanon as they've been casting magic, you're realizing that while they are saying incantations, they're not they're not casting magic that they maybe learned from spells. The incantations that they're saying, they sound more um, almost like they're invoking something. Like the way that they're speaking is very sibilant. It reminds you very much of the Elvish tongue, though they aren't speaking Elven or any tongue that you know. But you get the sense that this Shalbanon is not a wizard. They don't have a tome with them or a book where they would have their spells.
Okay. All right. I think Snorri's going to be frustrated in the minor nick that he took at Shalbanon's side, and is now going to aim the dagger up, like towards. I'm thinking like the underside of the mask. I think he's just going to aim straight for the vocal cords.
Yeah, totally. Go ahead and make your attack.
With advantage.
You do have advantage, yeah, because
Ooh.
Shalbanon
Okay.
is very fired.
Because number 1 was 3. And I only brought 1 set of dice because I can't. These are in dice jail, so. 18.
18.
What?
Yeah, that's success. How much damage do you do?
4. What's that? 2.
Nice.
Exponentially better.
Exponentially better indeed.
This means
It is.
Shalbanon,
real damage.
they sort of jerk their head away, but you are able to cut the side of their neck, and they go, the spirit, I will send you back to the hells.
I just stick my tongue out of him.
Yeah.
Story, did you actually come from hell? That would be concerning.
I unplugged my headphones, so if you said anything, I didn't hear it.
Never mind.
Nothing. The fey creature goes as it like sort of climbs up on Auleron, the statue, and then leaps off right at you, Callie. It's trying to pummel you with its fists, but it misses you, comically sort of flying over you as you duck. But unfortunately, all this oil just rains down on you from off of it. It's like squirt, like just like it's like this was whipped all over you, and it's very sticky, and so you're being sort of stuck to the ground, and you should make a strength saving throw.
My best one.
Yeah, I know.
With a -1, I get a 13.
Ooh, 13 is totally enough. As you are like, you're totally ripping yourself out of this sticky goop that's trying to like weigh you down, stick you to the statue, and you sort of rip yourself free and you continue to move. Whereas Yarrow goes and he looks at you, Elio, and says to you, he says, the light will never return to these places. These halls will be dark, and they will be the demesnes of my master, and the circle as well.
No!
And yeah, he brings down his warhammer once again upon you. He's going to hit an armor class of 15, which is not enough.
No, I do have my shield.
And yeah, you totally are able to block it with your shield. You feel the weight of the blow behind it for sure, though.
Yeah, it's more of a deflection. I'm not trying to take it all with my...
Yeah. I mean, Yarrow is a tough customer, that's for sure. It is your turn, though, Callie. What would you like to do?
Well, I definitely lost some skin on peeling myself from that mess, but I would like to dart forward, drawing my dagger, and I am going to try to stab Shalbanon in the kneecaps or somewhere more painful.
All right. The fey creature takes an attack of opportunity on you as you skitter by it, but it's just too bulky. It's like its head is too big. It can't keep itself upright. So it's almost comical as it's sort of like hitting the ground and it's throwing itself back up to try and catch you and missing, and you totally scamper away to get over to where Shalbanon is. What would you like to do?
Gonna try to stab with my dagger.
Go ahead.
And we have advantage on this. All right, let's see. So I got a 22.
That's a success. How much damage do you do?
Sneak attack damage. Oh, snake. 3 ones. 3 ones. So that's
111?
that's 3. So that's 8 damage.
8 damages.
Brutal.
Oh man.
111 and 1 damage.
Yeah, I know, right? Jeez. You do stab into Shabanon, and they hiss in pain. Ah! You're near them. Snorri's near them. Though Yarrow is still holding up the fight with Elio. I think at this point, what they do is I think they're going to take a step. No, I think what they're going to do is they're going to continue to mock you, Snorri, as Shabanon says to you, "Why don't you just fade away? Leave! You are no longer wanted here." Go ahead and make another charisma saving throw, please.
Okay, maybe I will.
Maybe I will.
That's a 6.
Oh, unfortunately, this one is going to hurt, as you take 2 points of psychic damage, and you will be at disadvantage on your next attack.
Rude.
So vicious.
Indeed, Shabanon is laying out that mockery. Elio, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
Okay. Running through the spell slots here. So I am going to. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just going to stab it, Yarrow here. I don't have a whole lot of options, and he's covered in fairy fire, so this seems like as good an option as anything.
Yes.
So I'm going to roll 2 dice.
Your spear flashes.
That is a 15 on the die plus
Success.
3, so that is a 18 with the spear.
Their armor class is 15.
Okay, that only 2 damage. It's like kind of
2 damage.
No.
Ah, you sort of bounce
scratched
off.
him with my spear.
He laughs. Ah, your god is weak.
Vicious.
I'm actually going to cast another healing word on myself and
Good call.
take in some. So sort of the ambient glow from the fairy fire kind of coalesces and just kind of
Yeah.
light. And I only have 2nd level spell slots left, so I'm gonna use one of those, which makes it a little more potent.
Ooh, very nice. And Snorri, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
So I heal a 14 points of hit points. That is
Nice.
No.
Snorri's just gonna lash out and try to just jab for the throat one more time. This is more.
Go ahead. Make your attack. You're at disadvantage on this attack, but you're at advantage to hit because of the fairy fire, so it's a wash, and you just roll 1 die.
Well, because you said disadvantage, I rolled twice, but I feel like we should take the first number because
Sure, whatever you want.
I started. I mean, either way, it wasn't gonna work. It was a 1 and a 7. And
Okay.
The 1 was the first roll.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, you miss with your dagger thrust. And Shabanon laughs, saying, "Ah, a spirit with a sword. It makes no sense."
So vicious.
And the fey creature bounds after you, Callie. The fey creature is not fast enough to catch up to you immediately, but does sort of try and sort of leap onto you, hitting you across the back of the head for 2 points of damage with its fist, going nah. Just annoying, super annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Well.
Awesome. It is Yarrow's turn, and Yarrow attempts to drop Elio. Rolling armor class of 18.
Morning flare.
Rolling armor class of 15, which is not enough. The warding flare
I'm
knocks
burning through magic stuff.
knocks away the falling warhammer, and Yarrow sort of just growls in anger and that being denied, and that there is still some strength in you and in your faith. And it turns into Callie. You're go.
This crusty creature is smacking at the back of my head. Let me see. I'm gonna use my cunning action to disengage from it and sort of scoot around to the side. And then I'm going to just attack Shalbanon again. I didn't stick him good enough this last time.
Yeah, make your attack. You
Better
have advantage on this roll.
Let's see. Yeah, I got like a 23.
That'll do it. How much damage?
Hopefully not as bad as last time. Okay, so that's 9, 10, 11. So 16.
16. That's really good. As you bloody Shalbanon.
Haha.
As you stab with your dagger, or is it a short sword or a dagger?
Is it a dagger?
Yeah, as you stab Shalbanon basically in the hip, they double over, and in like this poof of like wintry magic, like the similar sort of poof as when they disappeared with your friends Pinalero and Mick Grimsby, they disappear. Like just poof, they're just gone. As their sort of sibilant sort of hiss of rings in the air around you.
And no fairy fire or anything nearby, like.
That's right, because fairy fire illuminates an invisible creature.
If he's just invisible, yeah.
And indeed, he is invisible as he teleports to invisibly now directly next to Yarrow. And so you all see Shalbanon's outline with the fairy fire. At this point, the fey creature, which Snorri, you should make an Arcana or History check. It's up to you, of course. You know about this creature.
Natural 20.
What?
Word.
You know everything about this creature. You studied it extensively.
You wrote your thesis on it.
A fey creature called a boggle.
Boggle.
Yeah,
Cool
and they're like little boogeymen, basically. They sort of lurk on the fringes of the Feywild or the material plane, and they just are pests, and they excrete oil, and they have weird sort of like abilities to travel through time and space, which is sort of exactly what this one does. Because as Shalbanon takes that dagger to the hip, they lose their concentration, and the boggle is set free. And it just goes, and basically like does this weird dive where it like dives into the ground. And it seems like it just dives into some like weird extra dimensional space as it disappears. And the boggle's gone. Shalbanon, invisible, reaches out towards Yarrow and begins again giving a deep invocation of this sort of syrupy, evil syllabled magic. And then a larger portal explodes around the both of them. Yarrow sort of pointing at you, Elio, saying, "This is not finished! Yarr!" And both Shalbanon and Yarrow do disappear from the room.
It's not finished. Why did you leave?
Touche.
Indeed, a good question. A good question.
Well, I'm gonna turn on. Looks like we won that one, and then inside I'm like bruised and hurting.
I'm gonna turn towards I'm sorry,
Ziganute, who you might be seeing on your screen at this point.
Wow, he's taller than I expected.
Ziganute is a big Kotoa. He is the archpriest of his people. They worship a deity that they refer to as the Ancient One. The depictions that you've seen are of tortoises and turtles. And that is a dragon turtle, indeed, Elio. I believe you guys were sort of able to identify that the altar was in the form of a dragon turtle. That's right. You think that they worship a creature like this, or this creature. They just refer to it as the Ancient One right now.
Right.
But yes, Ziganute is obviously very impressed. As he is going, blah, 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 you have chased away the pretenders to our alliance.
Yes.
Obviously, we knew who they were the whole time, and were
Yes.
playing along with, yes. Mhm. Our cunning plan worked.
This masked one came and told us the true that the Trout Queen is not of the Trout folk, as I have always suspected. She is something else,
What is she?
Like,
something monstrous.
yes, totally unlike you. Yes.
Indeed. And they're sort of nodding at that. Their huge sort of teeth and claws. They're different sorts of very vicious looking weapons.
Hmm.
We're all friends, you. Do you have any,
Medicine,
yeah,
please.
anywhere we could take a brief nap prior to assaulting a castle?
Ziganute nods. Yes. Yes, rest. Rest, and then I will bring you before the Trout Queen.
Oh, we're just gonna go straight there. Okay.
Does she know you know?
The Trout Queen suspects nothing.
Huh.
Are you sure?
Ah, she has very powerful magics, but the powerful magics of the Ancient One protect us here in this tower.
Hmm.
Okay. Sure.
You, Flamehead, you you say you are the lord of this castle.
Seems rude.
Well, we'll, we'll. I have been assigned by the Summer Court to make sure this castle is safe, and then there was an implication that I would be granted a lordship that would include this castle. Yes.
Ah, yes. Uh, we we help you and your people, and in return, my people receive this tower for our efforts.
Well, I have no objections on principle, but we would have to bring your claim before the Summer Court. But on my honor, and beneath the light of the sun, presumably somewhere up there, I vow that I will vouch for you over there in the Fey Court when the time comes. You have my word.
And they nod at this, sort of talking amongst themselves in their sort of burbly tongue, and then they nod. And Ziganute says, "Guys, the bargain is struck," and sort of takes out these like freshwater oysters and shucks them, and like hands you one basically.
Ooh. Do we each get one?
When
Yes,
it's sparkly time
yes.
to light castle.
All of you. All
Does
of you guys.
Rimpy get one?
Yes, Rimpy definitely gets one.
Okay. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't even know if Snorri can have an oyster, but it's sort of it's a weird feeling as it's
Oh,
sort of
I'm
like
gonna try it.
yeah, it sort of like sits there and very slowly sort of
Is it
head
an especially
fades
gross
down
oyster?
through your.
Maybe it's just like an oyster.
I want.
Ziganute also eats his oyster as well, and says, "Yes, yes, we will go once you have rested. My apologies for your friend."
Sorry about your dudes that
Yes, do
we.
you have any non-stone person potion or something?
No, but perhaps if we pray.
Okay, I'll do that. I turn towards the other two and say, perhaps back in Hammerfast we could get him on stone person after this.
Yeah.
I think I might know
I mean, I'll pray. I'm good
A
at it, but I'm
guy?
mostly about the
Yeah.
yeah. It's less about the like delicate
Yes.
unweaving of mystical.
Sure. I mean, listen, it's been a while, but I'm sure I can help find somebody.
By the way, you know spells, right? You're a magic ghost.
Yes, I just
Okay.
happen to not have most of the components for my spell.
Okay. It just there was a lot of dagger, and you didn't seem to, you
I
know.
mean, listen,
No offense, but she was a lot better at the stabbing than you were, and
I practiced.
understand where my weaknesses are. I just
okay.
happen to be out of my tarts and many other things. The whole being dead thing's been kind of a bummer.
Might these fish folk have some
You
array
know,
of
I was,
Whatsits?
and Snorri's been sort of like flipping through his books to see if he can remember what the components for his various spells are.
Awesome. Looking through that, you are definitely seeing uh, uh, that you don't have a lot of what you need, but you do realize now, after the heat of the battle, that the dagger you took off of Shalbanon is a ritual dagger and could be used in the place of all spell components. It is an arcane focus.
Cool.
What? I was gonna steal some tards for you, but now I don't get to do that.
I mean, you could steal them
Listen,
for yourself. Nope.
I'll still steal them.
Stealing.
yes, please do. I wouldn't want to stop you from that.
So, did we get taken to some kind of hospitality quarters, or are we expected to just kind of camp on the floor here?
No, not at all. Indeed, hospitality quarters, I think, is a really great way to think about it. Because if you'll remember, your group was in sort of what had once been maybe the pleasure tower of
Oh, right.
Othramel of Sparkling Town Delight. The murals here are very ribald and softly pornographic. But you guys are taken to the top of this tower, actually. The third floor, in fact, where you will be seeing soon. You have only before this been to the third level of the tower that you came in from. At this point, that you guys should be seeing now the tower that you're in now at the top of, and they take you up the stairs and effectively give you your own room to sleep in. You are in this room here, in sort of the top left-hand corner of the tower.
How big are these squares?
These squares are probably about 20 feet or so each.
Okay, that's you know. If we're talking 5 or 10 feet, it might be a bit cozy. Snorri's a ghost. He doesn't take up a lot of space.
Me
I
neither.
would like to sleep. I would like to sleep right next to Elio.
Yeah.
Okay, I am a bit bright. I can't. Okay,
For
what I'll actually do is when I like get ready for bed, I'll take off the big pieces of armor that are over my normal clothes, and I'll wrap those in a cloak. And it's a magic flame, so it can be covered up, and in that way it's just kind of glowing softly in the corner like a nightlight, but it's not
Totally.
you know ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, it is ridiculous, but not no.
You guys are seeing that this top of the tower seems like the priest chambers. This all at one point seemed like it was one open uh, sort of boudoir, though it looks like there were a few rooms that were sort of moved off. You guys feel like you're in a storage room or something like that, where you're not in the sort of main where the priest stays with his bodyguards. Are you guys ran? Yeah, sorry. So you guys are yeah, you're there. The boggle has disappeared. You haven't seen it since it sort of ran off.
Oh, so
And
it didn't get like unsummoned. It got released.
it ran off. Yeah, you're not sure exactly where it is.
Okay.
But at this point, you are definitely able to take a long rest if that's something you guys want to do.
Yes, please.
Can I stay up an extra hour and use my Find Familiar scroll?
You sure can. Are you using it on Rimpleton?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rimpleton becomes your familiar.
Yay!
Yay! And you're able to read the scroll. It sort of turns into dust, and it sort of rains down on Rimpy, and like turns into like the spectral crown around his head. And then there's a spectral crown around your head as well for a second. And you guys are you feel like you are now mentally connected, almost like telepathically. You can almost like give him telepathic commands.
That is fantastic. I
And
ask him,
he's like, sup.
yeah. I'm like, well, what? So, what's the like? Do you like me better than anyone else? I ask to confirm all of these burning questions I've had for a long time.
He says, I sure as hell do. You are the bees. You're the best.
We're best friends more now.
You're the best around.
This is so cool. Okay, so I'll stay up talking to
The
Rimpleton.
theme song from Karate Kid.
Yes. And he can I think he wants to sleep amongst Elio's fancy like glowing cloak because
Definitely.
he deserves
He's drawn to
princely.
the Helio's bling for sure.
Yeah, it's that bling. So
You also know that at this point, if you needed to, you could see through Rimpy's eyes and hear through his ears. You could send him ahead of you to scout and those types of things.
yes.
You can technically also cast spells through him now. Like touch spells can be cast through him.
Like mage hand and stuff too. Could I do that?
Yes, sort of, sort of. So yeah, we'll figure that out. But well done. You're definitely able to use your magical scrolls to make Rimpleton the Big familiar. Long overdue, and you're all able to take a long rest and gain all your hit points, all your spell slots, and all your hit dice back.
Yeah, I
Yes.
apologize for looking down. I'm attempting to come up with spells because now that we don't have a fighter, I'm going to want to take spells that will actually help us there.
Yeah,
Nice.
not a bad idea. Snorri, you can cast all your spells now that you have this dagger. You may want to think about which spells you have prepared for the day as well. And you as well, Callie. Take a few moments. You know that you're going to be facing the Trout Queen and her minions, the Trout folk.
Are we told anything about what to expect? Or
There's basically a throne room that you're going to be taken to. You're going to be taken to her court, as it were. It's in the central tower. She does have trout folk who are her minions there, but Ziganute is confident that if you guys unmask her as not a trout folk, or not what she says she is, because she isn't a trout folk actually. That's the thing. She is actually a beautiful woman. She's not a trout folk, but she is the trout queen. They call her the tyrant of the trout folk as well. It seems as if a number of years ago, decades ago even, she came to rule the trout folk once they were living in the caves along the sides of Glimmer Lake. And it was through the trout queen that they realized their destiny was to rule the castle. And so she sort of spurred them on to break into it, which is the ruined tower that you guys came through. And only one holdout remained, which was a powerful Fey wizard who still remains in the Shining Tower.
A wizard who
Yeah.
still remains.
A very dangerous wizard because they use undead creatures to fight off the trout folk. They're, they're a necromancer.
So many evil wizards lately.
Hey, yeah. Yeah.
Never
Dark
trusted them.
Like Castle. There's a lot going on here. But you guys are able to rest in the storage room, gain all your hit points back.
Cool.
And your ally at this point, Ziganute.
at this point.
Hey, yeah, right?
Yeah, does he always have to be standing over us like that?
Yes. You wake up in the
Morning.
Do you want coffee?
Yeah, do you want coffee?
I try to be whatever, like wherever he's pointing, I try to be there.
You guys get the sense that he is somewhat weird and odd. They all are. They oddly they all are very interested in Snorri. And
I wouldn't
Snorri,
call
I
that
think it's
that odd. I mean, he's a
it's
curiosity.
almost. But even when he goes into the ethereal plane and disappears, they know where he is. Like they can track him. And you're realizing, Snorri, that they seem to have some sort of otherworldly uh, uh, perception. That it might not be just you; it might be everything that is ethereal, or everything that is hidden. Who knows? But they
Can
have
I
some
ask
sort of
them if any of them have seen the boggle, that creature?
cool. Yes, they scoff and say that they have, and that it's a pain in the ass, and that they will catch it in this tower, and that they will kill it.
Hmm.
I'm sure if you want.
That's what they're saying about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
as long as it's not like sneaking like right next to us. Then
nope. Apparently, no, you haven't seen it, but apparently it's still in this tower causing trouble.
Mhm.
Someone apparently found it underneath a big cauldron, and the cauldron had all the sticky oil all over it, and that's weird. They're just
What a
it's just causing
jerk.
trouble. Things have gone missing, maybe.
as long as it's haunting only the section of the castle that I've agreed to give them, then we're cool.
Oh man. Well,
As you guys finish your rests and your preparations, Ziganute indicates that it's time, and you all start to file out uh, down of the tower, down the stairs, back to the ground floor of Sparkly Town, Delight Castle, Id Othramel, as it is known to the elves, and you make your way towards the central tower. You sort of come out of this entryway, and you start making your way across this courtyard, and then back towards the Tower of Jeff that you had hidden all those times, and then finally you are escorted to the entryway to the Trout Queen's spire. You can see at the top of it, through the muck and the mud a little bit of the dome that's above you, that the top of the spire, the tower, is oddly shaped, like it has sort of these protrusions coming off of it. You all remember seeing these as you swam down here, except for you, Elio, of course. But those of you who did swim down here, Callie and Snort, remember those protrusions very much looking like what you would know to be like satellite dishes.
hmm.
And so that's sort of what you saw sticking off the top of the tower in the water. So it's submerged.
Hmm.
And uh, Ziganute looks at all of you. His followers are with you. And he says to you, uh, there is no turning back now. If we go, we will face the Trout Queen, and we shall succeed or perish.
Hmm. You're not gonna like backstab us, are you, Ziggy?
Nice. He says, I do this for the freedom of my people. And you can all make an insight check.
13.
8.
8,
11.
11. Very good. You all get the sense that he is not hiding anything from you, but you do also get the sense that he is in this for his people, not for you. And
Sure.
so, if things go poorly, you may not be able to count on him as a staunch ally. But he's very aware that you're all, or rather, he is betraying the Trout Queen, and that it means death for him and his followers, probably. But they are there. They have their weapons and their armor. They are arrayed. And while there are very heavily armored guards, trout folk who have like thick crab carapace armor on, and they're holding these sort of brutal, sort of claw-like weapons that have been made out of crab claws. They wave you in, and you guys can see as you enter that this place is beautiful and opulent. It looks like all the riches of the castle have been gathered here. There are definitely some chests of treasure and those types of things, jewels. There are a good number of trout folk here as well who are armed and armored. If you don't remember what trout folk look like, here's a little reminder. Uh,
It's so cute.
Yeah.
so cute. Yeah. That's a heart that it's carrying.
Nice. Is this the tower that all the fish were swimming around outside?
No, it is not. But good question. That you think is the Shining Tower where the Fey Wizard is in. The sense you're getting. And as you're brought in, you can definitely see that there are a number of trout folk here, but Ziganute is with you, and that's when you're sort of introduced to this Sea Queen, and she sort of is standing on a dais above all of this. You can see stairs sort of to her left that go upwards like spiral stairs. And this is the whole bottom of this tower, though, is a large receiving sort of chamber. And there's a dais which seems to be sort of have coral and different sort of oddly above ground plants, like sort of dead bark of trees. And as you can see in the illustration, or at least I think you can, she has a number of. You can't see it yet. Yep, you see the trouts.
Oh, wow.
She has a number of mirrors around her, and those mirrors have faces in them. Faces of different creatures. It's difficult to tell exactly. Though you all see very clearly that one of the faces looks to be a heavy dwarven face. The dwarven face has a silver gray beard and mustache, almost like a silver stream of hair. And that is, you believe, who you've been looking for. That is the visage of Glitterdark, the Lord Sage of Hammerfast. He's been described to you a number of times, but that silvery beard, that gray silvery beard, is a dead giveaway. And his face in the mirror is very sort of lackluster and almost morose. And the Trout Queen turns to look at all of you and has a hand mirror in her hand. She's beautiful. She looks at all of you and says, "You have entered my domain. You, my priest, has brought. Why have you come? He says you wish to serve me."
Well, first we gotta know more about you.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I am the Trout Queen. You may honor me as such.
You don't look fishy to me.
What?
She smells
sort of this
fishy.
weird anxiety sort of rolls through the room when you sort of say that. She says, "These are my people. They are my children. They have found much glory under my tutelage. Have you not?" And the crowd there sort of goes, "Rah, rah, 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 blubble, 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 blubble." Though you guys are definitely getting the sense that Ziganute and the sort of the faithful are more going, "Yeah, sort of, yeah." They're a little bit more lackluster in their cheering. And you guys can definitely tell that the Trout Queen is sort of taking note of that.
And does she?
I am going to walk up to her and say, "You care very much for your people, correct?"
I do. You fiery one. What is your name?
I am Eleo the Illuminated, and Illuminator, because
Yes.
the fire illuminated and illuminates.
I need illumination. A problem has plagued my kingdom. This darkness. We are stuck in it.
Darkness, you say?
This
Which darkness? Where?
keep this castle. It once lived above, and it could again. Could again.
Do you mind if I ask about the mirror things? They're very enchanting.
She says, you enjoy my collection? These are
They reflect the light. It's natural.
supplicants who have come amongst me. My servants, they work even now to make sure we get above. And as you guys are looking, you can see that some of the other faces are dwarves and some of them are humans. You even see one of them is a trout folk. But all of them uniformly, besides the Lord Sage, are like really sallow and old. Almost they look like they really decrepit and like their vitality has sort of been sucked out of them.
And does she appear as a trout folk right now, or?
No, she appears as she does in the illustration.
That's what I
I'm not sure if you can
thought.
see that.
Yeah, she does.
But that is that's what she looks like. And she's talking to you.
And if I may ask, how long have you and your people been staying here? Can I, as I do this, I would like to cast Enhanceability on myself to make myself more charismatic as I kind of glow.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Why don't you go ahead and make a persuasion check? What are you doing, Snorri?
I think Snorri's kind of floating around, taking stock of the room. He made some rash attacks in the last battle, so I think he's trying to get a better sense of what's going on before he makes any mistakes.
Awesome. You should make a perception check, please.
That's a 17.
Awesome.
I got 13 on that persuasion.
You, as you're looking at all of this, you realize that the creature before you is wearing an illusory appearance. That they are being cloaked by an illusion. You can just tell. The magic is good. It's powerful, but it's you being a craftsman, being a learned scholar in the art and science of magic. You can see that it is an illusion. It is crafted. You can see almost around the edges, the seams of it. It is fine work, glamour work. You should make an Arcana check.
Okay. 20.
Nice roll. Yeah, you're very sure that this magic that's being used is actually a magic of the Fae. You seem to be an expert in the Fae, possibly.
Okay. And just for my own clarity here, it's an illusion on, like, covering up a figure, or do I think it's like more of like a hologram?
No, you think it's someone is covering up their true form.
Okay.
What are you doing, Callie?
I'm gonna try to like very sneakishly conjure a mage hand, and I want to float it towards the mirror that the glitter dark appears to be in, and try to like touch the glass with it. And I can make it invisible, so I will do that.
Yeah, totally. Your mage hand is definitely able to appear, and you sort of touch the glass, and you're. The mirror is solid. It does sort of push in and sort of rock back and forth as you touch it. And could you just make a sleight of hand check for me, please?
Yes. Let's see. Well, that's a 12.
Cool. The Trout Queen suddenly goes stiff and points at you, Callie, saying, "This small creature, she casts magic in my court, minions." And the trout folk around you are like sort of going nuts as they're sort of like starting to get very agitated.
I'm like,
What is the meaning of this? She yells at you, Callie.
I dismiss the mage hand, and I'm like, I just wanted to see how your beautiful mirror could possibly work, and I wasn't trying to hurt anything, and I think you're very pretty.
Make a persuasion check.
Or deception.
I got a 10.
I'm going to try to mollify the Trouts somewhat and say, please, please, I am sorry if we have caused any alarm, but we come here as friends, willing to help your people. Ziganut, he brought us here, and he is so devoted to all of your kind. Surely you have all seen how much he values the Trout folk and your gods and your traditions, and really, one cannot help but trust him and side with him in all things.
Nice. Go ahead and make a persuasion check, please.
All right, that one is a 20.
Nice. And as that sort of beautiful segue setup is laid, Ziganut steps forward and says, "My friends, my trout people," and starts like going off basically in their common sort of shared language. You're all getting the sense that he's riling up this crowd and basically starting to point at the Trout Queen and making the case. She is very obviously aware of what's happening and seems to be sort of shouting in their tongue as well. Uh, Very quickly, the Trout folks start fighting amongst themselves. These sort of faithful to Ziganut and these sort of loyalists to the Queen. What are you guys doing? This sort of melee is breaking out around you. Some of the loyalists do seem like they're threatening you guys, but you are more closer to the front of the dais since you're interacting with the Queen. She is there, probably within 20 feet of you or so. Ziganut is near you as well, but this entire room is basically breaking out into a melee.
I have
Hmm.
one special spell I'd like to cast, but if you all have anything else to do quickly.
Very quickly, I'm gonna fly up to Elio and cast protection from evil and good.
Nice.
I'm gonna start to like tiptoe, like societal closer and closer to the queen.
Cool. Snorri, can you describe what your magic looks like as you cast?
Snorri's gonna fly up to Elio and say, "Hey," and he's gonna whisper in his ear. He's like, "Hey, I don't know you really well, but I think you're doing great." And when he pats him on the back, some glitter kind of just like pushes out of his hand, and it sort of surrounds him in this blue aura.
Do you want to remind us what protection from evil and good does? Because it's a really fucking sick ass spell. And
Yeah, I'm very excited to use it. So it says that one willing creature you touch is protected against certain types of magic creatures, in this case, Fae. And you get that creature, the Fae creature, will have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed. Yeah,
awesome.
there's a lot there, but it sounds great.
No, it's really good. That's great. Sweet. So
I do have one important thing I'd like to do.
yeah.
I look to the queen and I say, "Oh, this has all gone so terribly wrong. Listen, everyone, please. I fear that there are so many misunderstandings and misunderstandings and deception and suspicion among us. Perhaps we have all not entirely been honest. It is time to let the light of the truth shine through." And I cast Zone of Truth, covering
Yeah.
myself and the queen. And I say, "My lady, please, if you would explain what's going on here." And that's a charisma save, DC 13.
Oh,
As she
yes.
says, "I have deceived you all, of course. I am from the Feywild, where I grew up on the shores of the seas.
Called it.
I have a better destiny in store. I shall rule this castle and return to the Feywild and join my rightful place in the court. As she turns into her true form, a sea hag, a witch of the Feywild.
No.
And as she looks at you, Elio, she says, I shall sacrifice you, though, son child, and you shall pave my way back to the court that you serve. And we should all roll initiative, I think, at this point. Yes, the Trout folk are seeing all this. They're sort of taken aback. They're burbling to each other. All right, what'd you get, Callie?
23.
Nice roll. And how about for you, Snow?
17.
Nice. And for Elio?
I also got a 3.
A 3.
It's sort of like Callie's, but with fewer 20s.
Yeah, sort of like that. Callie, you have initiative. You were sidling closer to the queen the whole time without her sort of knowing it. So you effectively are adjacent to her. You're like climbing up onto the dais right as we start.
Ha! I'm going to leap through the air, my tiny frame holding a dagger that looks like a short sword to me, and I am going to try to stab her in the kneecaps.
Go ahead and make your attack.
All right. That was like a 6, so no. 7.
You'll have advantage on this strike since you're...
Oh, I do? Okay.
You're surprised against her, yeah. You're sort of surprised.
That was an 8. So, no. Total.
No. Yep. You leap out, and she just backhands you. Right back off the stage. As she says, get thee away from me. Up. It is your turn, Snorri. What would you like to do? It's still going on as well, technically.
Sorry, what's still going on?
The zone of truth.
Okay.
Yes. DC 13 charisma save, or you can't say anything false.
I better make that now. I got a 15.
Yeah, you can fly.
Thank God.
And Snorri's gonna turn and see her new form and say, I knew there was something fishy about you, and cast Hideous Laughter.
Okay. You get the sense that she has some sort of magic resistance as you cast it at her, and her sort of skin just sort of, it's all wet and scaly, and it sort of shines for a second, and it's like the magic energy just wafts off her form. And she sort of cackles at you. You'll have to do better than that, spirit. I know your kind. And actually, now that her horrific sort of appearance has been exposed, you should all make a DC not gonna tell you wisdom saving throw.
Is this, I have advantage on fear. Is this a fear effect at all?
This is a fear effect, yes.
I'm brave.
I'm immune to being frightened.
Oh, there you go, Snorri. Yeah. You, for whatever reason, this face that she has, her form, does not frighten you as much as the prospect of dying the true death.
What ghost?
What ghost? You can't hear me.
I got a 12.
My protection spell from Snowy means I can't be frightened by Fae.
There you go. You are immune to this.
I also rolled a 20.
Yes. Callie, you succeeded on your roll with a 12.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah, her horrific form does not fade such staunch adventurers as you all. And it is her turn.
You're ugly, but not that ugly.
She turns her withering gaze upon you, Callie, and says, you shall perish, and I shall feast on your bones. My people will eat you, just as the gods eat them. You will be food for our gods. And you need to make a wisdom saving throw as her face sort of almost like opens up and distends as she's like, ah!
Ooh.
Getting ready to just consume you.
Let's see here.
This is also a fear effect, so you do have advantage on this.
Oh, I got a 17 on my first roll, though. 18 on my second roll.
Your halfling ingenuity, she cannot scare you. Not working.
I've seen worse.
You have Elio. It's your turn.
Okay, she's not doesn't have any kind of weapons or anything, right?
No.
She's just kind of
No,
haggy and magicy.
her claws though seem very weaponized. They're thick talons.
I'm worried that my fire skills might not be so great against this water person, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Scorching Ray upon her
Go ahead and make your attack.
3 times over. All right, so those attack rolls are 1 is a 1. That one's not going to hit anything. 1 is a 15 and 1 is a 17.
Both successes. How much damage do you do?
I deal 4d6.
Nice.
For any resistances and such. Alright, those are some rolls. 16 fire damage total.
Nicely done. Yes, she does seem to have a bit of resistance, but they do strike into her, and her scales are smoldering as she cries out in pain. Ah! Curse the summer court! She yells.
Fish friends! You know what you must do!
The Koato are fighting amongst themselves until she's been revealed. Now there's like this sort of weird ceasefire, but you guys can definitely get the sense that some of the Trout folk are ensorcelled by her, and they are moving of their own accord as they're sort of pushing forward, and it's like you can see that as they're trying to like leap on you guys. So Elio, you can see that a few Trout folk have come out from the crowd, and one is definitely trying to basically sort of stab you with its spear, is what it seems like. I know it misses you as your armor is too thick, and its spear just sort of rebounds. But you can see in its eyes, it's sort of like almost like an automaton, and it is
very glazed over, dead like a fish's eyes.
Yes, the fishiest of fishes. Callie, it's your turn. What would you like to do?
I'm gonna retaliate. This creature has tried to scare me twice now like that, so gonna jump forward again, 300 style, with my dagger. This is a single roll, I'm sure. Let's see. 21.
Success.
It's gonna be a big old 9 damage.
9 damage. Cool. Yeah, you totally stab into her, though. It seems like your dagger is doing a little less damage. Like her skin is so tough that it resists your non-magical dagger.
Cool.
However, you definitely are able to stab into her. And Snorri, it's your turn next. What would you like to do?
Snorri, in seeing this mess, I think Snorri's afraid. Snorri's definitely like, this could end very poorly. This could be the one true death. And especially with these new friends that he's made that have... I don't think he was expecting to make good friends after coming back. And this fear sort of washes over him. And he turns around and he looks straight at the Trout Queen, and he starts to scream, and he's going to use Horrifying Visage.
Yeah.
And I think his jaw, like, it's like a very horrifying thing. His jaw sort of unhinges.
Oh.
Yeah.
He just goes full on Spectre. And what's the saving throw again?
13.
That is a failure.
By how much?
It is a failure by, you said 13?
Yes.
It's a failure by 8.
Okay, so if the save fails by 5 or more, the target also ages 1d4 times 10 years.
Please roll your 1d4.
No.
That's the floor.
I don't know how much older she can get.
We're gonna find out. So 10 years.
Nice. Yeah, she sort of like hunches over a bit. Ah! You suck my life! No! My precious resource! And she looks right at you, Story, and she sort of clenches her fist, going "Die!" as magic missiles explode from her hands, streaking right at you. And you're going to be taking um, 9 points of force damage as these sort of sea green magic missiles are striking into you. It is your turn, Elio. What would you like to do?
Hmm. She resisted my fire. We'll try Radiance, Sacred Flame.
All right. She succeeds on the saving throw, unfortunately.
Well, that didn't do anything. Actually, I'm also going to. Can I heal Snorri? Has this been established?
It has not been established.
I'm going to try.
You can. Are you casting healing word on him?
Yes.
I believe a healing word would definitely work on Snorri. What do you
Okay.
say?
So, well, how this works is I get this white hot flame in my hands, and I split it, and I
Yeah.
point. I sort of consider them for a moment and kind of weigh them, and then I take the one I'm pretty sure is right, and I point that at Snorri, and I point the other one at the hag, and they both go flying off.
Nice. So, how many hit points does Snorri regain?
Snorri will heal 5 hit points.
Nice.
And unfortunately, you said the sea hag saved, so no damage.
And it is the Koato's turn, and he stabs you in the back for 4 points of damage, Elio, with his spear.
I'm going to try to. Well, 4. I'll take it.
Yep, it's your turn, Callie.
Oh man, me again. Let me see. I'm gonna stab again at the hag. Why not? She's really rude.
Very few reasons to not stab her.
Yeah.
Rimpy is there, and Rimpy is trying to headbutt her. So, strike, you will have advantage on your, or rather, you do sneak attack on your roll.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So I get an 18.
Success. How much damage?
Yes. Good job, Rimpy. Oh yeah, we're telepathic now. I keep forgetting. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. So 16 piercing.
With that, you bloody her as you stab her right in the chest, and like this sort of gout of greenish ooze blood comes out, and she's like, "Ah!" Snorri, it is your turn.
Of course it is.
The Koatoa are going nuts. They're sort of jostling now. They're all shouting. The Ziganute, the archpriest, is trying to sort of gain their attention, but they're all very focused on this sort of melee that's happening. And what are you doing, Snorri?
I think. Snorri's gonna. This is a bad time to do this, but he's gonna take out the vial of the astral plane and see what he knows about it before he opens it.
Okay. You have seen in the tower where you got this, that people were consuming things like this, and they were being able to have these vision quests. You're not sure what that means for you.
Screw it. He's just gonna pop off the cork and down that thing.
Awesome.
No time to be drinking.
Awesome. Yeah, you totally do.
Ghost booze.
Ghost booze. And you have a very odd feeling where it's similar to the feeling that you have when you go into the ethereal plane, that sort of coldness, but it's almost, that coldness is giving way to almost like an electric current, like you're being supercharged. As that happens, the hag screams in frustration and rage, and her body turns into an incorporeal ethereal form. You see her on the ethereal plane, Snorri, as the two of you sort of face off as these spiritual sort of beings. Her form is very much like what you see in the illusion, though sort of amped up. They're sort of like trails of power coming out of her eyes and off of her fingers. She seems to blur a bit as she comes at you with her claws, Snorri. She is able to hit an armor class of 20 and do 10 points of damage to you as she rips through you, your astral form, with her
Cool.
claws. You feel like this ennui, like this. It's not physical pain, but it's almost like the cord that keeps you bound to the consciousness of life is being frayed.
Can
Um,
we see any of this, or is this all just like blurry
it
to
is
us?
Elio. It's your turn, and no, not really. All you're seeing are these two magical presences. It almost looks like two clouds that are just coming together and sort of smushing together
Hmm.
and roiling amongst each other. All of the trout folk at this point have stopped what they're doing, and most of them have fallen to their knees, like they're just like in awe of what's happening here. There is a trout folk who was attacking you, Elio. What would you like to do?
Is he still attacking me, or is he kind of like?
Yeah, half-heartedly, sort of like it's he his weapons are up, but it not
Right.
really.
I'm gonna try to rally the trout folk if I can, just kind of get them more fired up and ready to fight this creature if it
Yeah,
returns.
cool. Make a persuasion check, please.
I so just for flavor, I'm going to use thaumaturgy, and
Yeah,
my voice booms at 3 times its volume, which I'm not going to replicate for the sake of your ears. And
exactly.
there's a dragon turtle roar that kind of shakes the cave,
Nice.
and glowing like sea flames flicker. And I'm going to make my what kind of check? Is it intimidation, persuasion? What would you say?
Persuasion would be perfect.
Persuasion. I'm still under my eagle's grace, so
Yes, you are.
that is that would be a 19.
Nice.
As I say, fight, fish folk, you have been deceived. I speak only the truth because I also rolled the 1 on my zone of truth spell. This creature means you nothing but ill. Strike
And
her down.
it's wild that all of their otherworldly sort of sight is affixed now on this like
Oh, right, they
otherworldly
can see.
battle. They can somehow see what's happening, and as you exhort them, Leo, they get to their feet and sort of cheer as it's your turn, Callie.
So she has like assumed an ethereal form now in front of
Yeah, you
me.
don't really see her anymore, but you can see these clouds roiling amongst each other. You can make an Arcana check to see what you know about ethereal forms. If you'd like.
Yeah, I got a 6. I'm not trained in it
So
either.
much you know that the best I can give you is that force damage hurts everything.
Well, let me see. I think I can't do much so to attack her. What I'm gonna do, have Rimpy come back. He's gonna jump up on my shoulder, and then we are going to try to grab that picture, the mirror frame of glitter dark, off the wall.
Yeah, you totally are able to grab the picture, the mirror of Glitter Dark, and the face is just in there, and you're getting the sense that maybe a part of him is trapped in here or something like that. That's just the vibe that you're getting.
Can I smash it?
You totally can smash.
I'm
And
like,
as you, there's like this explosion of magical energy. Basically, it doesn't hurt you. It's like a explosion of light and a puff of magic.
I'm a fan.
And there is almost like this sort of quick moving shard of energy that sort of motes up and sort of zips towards the top of the tower. Snorri, it's your turn. The hag is there. The sea witch, she's ethereal. Her form is nuts. What does your ethereal form look like?
Tattered.
Tattered.
I feel like a flag that's weathered too many storms. Holes kind of peeling into the face, and I feel like parts of his form are like trailing off a little bit.
Yes.
And he's trying his best to like rear up the energy to use another horrifying visage, but that's not possible. So instead, he's gonna cast Minor Illusion.
Oh.
And use the Minor Illusion to scream for his friend, the giant sea creature Jeff, as one last rallying cry.
I love it. I love it.
Jeff!
So you're doing a psychic shout through the ether of the ethereal plane and the astral plane for
Mhm.
Jeff. And what basically happens is that she is tearing through you. She's ripping up and down your form. You know the true death is soon to come, and you're just sort of almost like just floating there waiting for it. And that's when you feel like this sort of concussive force, almost like some heavy footfall, but it's almost like being in the middle of a speaker when it reverberates. And you just sort of, everything around you shakes and reverberates as she breaks off her attack for just one moment. And in that moment, you feel and see and
Oh no.
notice the presence of a large crab like spirit. It is opening up around you, and these claws come down and just cut into her, tearing her apart, her astral form. Those of you who are on the prime material plane, it's almost like these roiling clouds that were moving amongst each other. Uh, they are struck by a bolt of lightning and they explode, almost like fireworks. And you are all rained down upon with this magical energy as the trout folk are sort of cheering and just sort of some of them are praying, some of them are on the ground, but it's quite clear to you that the trout queen is gone. She is no more. But unfortunately, Snorri is also gone. Who knows where he has gone? But his spirit does not return from the astral plane. We'll have to find out what happens to Snorri maybe later on down the line. But for now, Elio and Callie, you are able to keep your bargain with the trout folk. They sort of are returning to the towers that they've claimed. You finally are able to meet Glitterdark. He is in the top of the tower working on some arcane machine, an arcane device that allows the castle to re-emerge from the lake. Surrounding him are other sort of scholars and sages, dwarves and humans, though they are all drained of vitality, as I mentioned before. They all seem to be shadows of themselves. All their will, though, seems to have been taken from them and put into these mirrors. You are able to save them from the mirrors and thus free Glitterdark. He is extremely happy to be free and tells you that he owes you a debt of gratitude. And we will talk more about that debt of gratitude when next we meet.
We will.
We shall. But thank you so much. That's where we're going to end the stream for tonight. This has been chapter 2, our ultimate session. Thank you, players, for being here. I am Ken Breeze, Burling's Beard. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in and playing along with us. We hope you've enjoyed this chapter and all of the episodes that we've had for Secrets of Hammerfast. We'll be on again next week, starting our new chapter up with some new players and a new sort of narrative to keep us going. Even though, as I'm sure you're aware, we keep everything linked, so there's a nice thorough line. But I'll turn it over to you, Kelsey, playing Callie. Thank you so much again for being so awesome and playing a great character. You've been with us since the beginning, and we really appreciate it. Where can we find more of your work if we're looking for more Kelsey?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can find me at thearcanelibrary.com. Releasing an adventure in the next week for first level players, so keep an eye out for that.
Do you know the title? Share the title with us?
It's called The Temple of the Basilisk Cult.
Ooh, very nice. That'll be exciting. Very cool.
Exciting.
And Patrick Cartelli, thank you so much for being on with us this chapter. We loved having you. It's been such a pleasure. Snorri's a great character. We're sorry to miss you and to lose you, but we know you're super busy. So yeah, where can we find more of your work if we're looking for more Pat?
Sure. We'll make it nice and easy. You can just go to Twitter. I'm at Pat Cartelli. Tweet a lot about everything. The show that I do, more D&D things, and just whatever. So please follow me there. It'd be great.
Awesome. And we also have Thomas playing Elio. we're going to be seeing a lot more of ELAO, I think, in the future, which would be great. Thomas, it's been lovely to have you on the stream. You've been a great addition, so thank you for
Thanks
being
so much for inviting.
And where can we find more of you if we want to be interacting with what you're up to?
I'm mostly online on Twitter at Soul of Twit, TWHIT, the end of that one.
Perfect. Well, we'll sign off then, and we'll see everybody next week. So everybody have a great one, and we'll catch up with more Secrets of Hammerfast next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Bye, bye, bye.